Yin Mo didn't just own Chicago, he ruled it from the shadows. The Korean immigrant had clawed his way from nothing to everything. Luxury hotels, high-end restaurants, entertainment complexes that sparkled like jewels along the waterfront. To the world, his empire looked pristine. Beneath the surface, his power made him untouchable. Corrupt officials bent to his will. Rival syndicates whispered his name like a curse. His penthouse stretched across the top floor of the city's most exclusive building, worth more than most people would see in 10 lifetimes. But on Christmas Eve, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling glass overlooking Chicago's glittering skyline, Yin Mo stood alone in the darkness. No one waited for him. His parents had been murdered in gang warfare when he was 16. He'd held his mother's hand as she died on cold pavement. His younger brother had bled out in his arms 3 years later during a revenge plot gone wrong. The women who shared his bed vanished by dawn, and his men were too terrified to meet his eyes, let alone call themselves friends. 40 years old, richer than the boy who'd arrived in America with Fury and $50 could have imagined, feared by everyone who knew his name, yet he felt nothing but the hollow ache that no amount of power could fill. He didn't know that 8 miles south, in a tiny apartment held together by love and determination, a 7-year-old girl with asthma and unstoppable courage was about to shatter his carefully constructed isolation. The Korean fusion restaurant on Michigan Avenue was Yin Mo's crown jewel among legitimate businesses. Upscale, exclusive, the kind of place where politicians closed deals and celebrities dined in private booths. He visited irregularly, without warning, preferring the controlled chaos of the dinner rush when he could observe operations from the shadows. Tonight, December 23rd, the restaurant hummed with holiday anticipation. Couples toasted over champagne. Families celebrated early. Yin Mo occupied a corner table hidden from the main dining room, nursing his third whiskey, watching the carefully choreographed service with the cold assessment of a man who owned the theater but had forgotten how to feel the performance. That's when he saw her. The server moved between tables with exhausted grace, carrying laden trays despite the fatigue evident in every movement. She was striking, deep brown skin that caught the warm lighting, natural hair pulled into a neat bun, eyes that held kindness despite visible strain. But what caught Yin Mo's attention wasn't her beauty. It was the desperation she was trying to hide. The way she checked her phone between orders, fear flickering across her features before she smoothed it away with another professional smile. Maya Parker. He'd approved her hire 6 months ago based on her manager's recommendation, but never noticed her until now. Just another cog in the machine that generated his wealth. She approached his secluded table with careful courtesy, though he saw her hands tremble slightly. "Good evening, sir. Can I get you anything else?" Her voice was warm, genuine, a South Side Chicago accent softened by something gentler. Exhaustion, maybe, or barely controlled panic. Yin Mo opened his mouth to dismiss her, he preferred being left alone. But then her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. She glanced down reflexively, and he saw it. Absolute terror washing over her face before she forced it back down, her smile now a fragile mask. "I'm fine," he heard himself say instead. "But you're not." It wasn't a question. Maya Parker's smile cracked at the edges. She glanced down at her phone again, and this time Yin Mo saw her eyes glisten before she blinked hard, forcing the tears back. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice breaking. Excuse me for one moment." She turned away quickly, but not quickly enough. Yin Mo watched her rush toward the kitchen hallway, one hand pressed to her mouth. He should have looked away. Should have signaled for his check and left. He had business tonight, a debtor waiting in the private room downstairs who owed him $200,000 and thought he could hide behind excuses. That's what he should have been focused on. Instead, he found himself standing, following the direction she'd gone. The hallway near the kitchen was dim, tucked away from the dining room's warm glow. Maya stood with her back to the wall, phone pressed to her ear, and the professional mask had shattered completely. "I know, baby, I know it's hard to breathe," she was saying, her voice raw with panic. "Mommy's gonna fix it, okay? Just use the inhaler one more time. I know it's almost empty, but try, baby. Try for mommy." Yin Mo stopped in the shadows, something uncomfortable twisting in his chest. "No, Grandma can't afford it either," Maya continued, and now tears were streaming down her face. The insurance denied the claim. They're saying it's not medically necessary because we got one 3 months ago, but Pearl needs it. She needs it and it's $800 and I don't. Her voice broke completely. She pressed her forehead against the wall, shoulders shaking. I'll figure it out, baby. I promise. Mommy always figures it out. You just keep breathing for me, okay? Nice and slow. I love you so much. She ended the call and stood there, silently crying, unaware she was being watched. Yin Mo should have walked away. He'd built his empire on cold calculation, on understanding that compassion was a weakness that got you killed. He'd learned that lesson at 16 when his mother died because he'd hesitated, shown mercy to the wrong person. But something about this woman, this stranger, standing in a dark hallway crying over her daughter who couldn't breathe, made him think of his own mother. The way she'd scraped together money for his school clothes. The way she'd worked 3 jobs so he and his brother could eat. Before he could talk himself out of it, Yin Mo stepped into the hallway. Maya jerked upright, frantically wiping her eyes. I'm so sorry, sir. I'll be right back to your table, How much do you need? His voice came out rougher than intended. She froze, confused. What? For the medication. How much? I can't. Her eyes widened in horror. I wasn't asking for. Yin Mo pulled his wallet from his jacket, counted out $100 bills, and held them out. Take it, and take tomorrow off. Paid. Be with your daughter. Maya stared at the money like it might burn her. I don't understand. Neither do I, he admitted, and that was the truth. But your daughter needs medicine. Take it. She reached out slowly, hands trembling, and took the cash. Fresh tears spilled over. I'll pay you back. I swear, No. Yin Mo was already turning away, disturbed by the unfamiliar sensation in his chest. Just make sure she can breathe. He walked back to the dining room, collected his coat, and left without handling his business downstairs. The debtor could wait another day. That night, alone in his penthouse, Yin Mo poured himself another whiskey and tried to understand why he'd done something so uncharacteristically stupid. He couldn't, and that bothered him more than it should have. Yin Mo told himself he was checking on an investment opportunity. The South Side had properties worth acquiring, neighborhoods ripe for development. That's why he was driving down 63rd Street on Christmas Eve afternoon instead of reviewing quarterly reports in his office. It had nothing to do with the waitress. Nothing to do with the sleepless night spent wondering if her daughter could breathe. He spotted Maya's worn Honda Civic in the pharmacy parking lot and pulled his Mercedes into a space 3 rows back. Through the large windows, he could see them, Maya holding the hand of a small girl bundled in a puffy pink coat too thin for December's bite. The girl was beautiful, 7 years old, maybe, with her mother's warm brown skin and hair pulled into 2 puffs with ribbons. But even from this distance, Yin Mo could see the struggle in her breathing, the way her small chest heaved with effort. He watched Maya approach the pharmacy counter, watched the pharmacist nod and disappear into the back. Watched Maya close her eyes in what looked like prayer. When the pharmacist returned with a small box, Maya's whole body sagged with relief. She pulled out the cash, his cash, and counted it carefully. The transaction completed, she knelt down and immediately helped her daughter with the inhaler. 2 puffs. The girl's breathing eased almost instantly. Maya pressed her forehead to her daughter's, holding her close. Even through the window, Yin Mo could see her lips moving. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Something uncomfortable twisted in his chest again. They exited the pharmacy, and before Yin Mo could think better of it, he was out of his car and walking toward them. Ms. Parker. Maya spun around, instinctively pulling her daughter closer. Recognition flashed across her face, followed by confusion and wariness. Mr. Kong? What are you? I was in the neighborhood. The lie felt obvious even to him. I see the medication worked. The little girl studied him with unsettling intensity. Her eyes were bright, curious, completely unafraid despite her mother's tension. This is Pearl, Maya said quietly, still wary. My daughter. Pearl, this is the man who helped Mommy. You're the reason I can breathe good now? Pearl's voice was small but clear. I suppose so. Thank you. She said it with such simple sincerity that Yin Mo found himself looking away. There's a cafe across the street, he heard himself say. Let me buy you hot chocolate. To warm up. We couldn't, Maya started. Please. The word felt foreign on his tongue. 5 minutes. Maya looked like she wanted to refuse, but Pearl was already tugging her hand. Mama, I'm cold. And hot chocolate sounds really good. They ended up in a corner booth, Pearl between them with a massive mug of hot chocolate topped with whipped cream. She drank carefully, studying Yin Mo over the rim with those two knowing eyes. Do you have family for Christmas? She asked suddenly. Yin Mo froze. No. Why not? Pearl, Maya warned gently. It's all right, Yin Mo said, though it wasn't. They're gone. Pearl considered this, her small face serious. Then she smiled, bright and sudden and completely genuine. Then come to our house. Nobody should eat alone on Christmas. Mama makes the best mac and cheese in the whole world. Pearl, Maya's eyes went wide. You can't just. Why not? He's sad. I can tell. And he helped us. Pearl turned back to Yin Mo. We don't got much, but we got enough. Right, Mama? Maya looked trapped between mortification and something softer. She met Yin Mo's eyes, and he saw the question there. Who are you really? He should have declined politely. Should have made an excuse and disappeared back into his carefully constructed isolation. What time? He asked instead. Pearl beamed. 5 o'clock. Apartment 3B. Yin Mo nodded once, not trusting himself to speak. As he drove away 15 minutes later, he gripped the steering wheel and tried to understand what he'd just agreed to. He couldn't, and for the first time in 20 years, he didn't want to. Yin Mo had negotiated with cartel leaders, stared down rival bosses across tables slick with blood, walked into ambushes knowing he might not walk out. None of it made his hands shake the way they did now, standing outside apartment 3B with a bottle of wine that cost more than this building's monthly rent and a gift bag so large it barely fit through his car door. He knocked. Soft footsteps, then the door swung open to reveal Pearl, still in her pink coat, grinning up at him. You came. Mama, he came. The apartment was tiny, living room, kitchen, and a hallway that probably led to one bedroom, maybe two if you were generous. But it was immaculate. Handmade paper snowflakes hung from the ceiling. A small Christmas tree stood in the corner, decorated with what looked like years of collected ornaments. The smell of baking mac and cheese and sweet potatoes made something ache in Yin Mo's chest. Maya emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. She'd changed into a simple red sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. Mr. Kong, you actually came. I said I would. He held out the wine awkwardly, then the massive gift bag. For Pearl. Pearl's eyes went wide as she tore into the tissue paper. She pulled out a stuffed tiger, enormous, plush, with embroidered stripes and kind eyes. It was nearly as big as she was. Oh my gosh, she breathed. Mama, look, it's a tiger. She hugged it fiercely, then looked up at Yin Mo with sudden realization. You look like a tiger. With your growly face. Can I call you Mr. Yin Tiger? Pearl, Maya said, but she was smiling. It's fine, Yin Mo found himself saying. Mr. Yin Tiger is fine. Dinner preparation was chaos. Maya put him to work peeling sweet potatoes, and he approached it with the same intensity he brought to business negotiations. She laughed, actually laughed, at his precision. They're sweet potatoes, not evidence. You can relax. I don't do anything halfway. I'm noticing that. Pearl sat at the kitchen table, chattering endlessly about school, her best friend Jasmine, her teacher Ms. Rodriguez who let her read chapter books during quiet time. She talked about her father too, casually, the way children do when death is still too big to fully understand. Daddy died when I was 4. Car accident. Mama says he's watching from heaven, making sure we're okay. She tilted her head. Do you think that's true? Yin Mo's throat tightened. I think if there's any justice in the universe, people who love us stay close somehow. Maya's eyes met his over Pearl's head, something unspoken passing between them. They ate at the small table, squeezed together, and Yin Mo couldn't remember the last time food had tasted like this. Not expensive, simple, but made with love, served with laughter, eaten with people who wanted him there. After dinner, they watched Christmas movies on Maya's old television. Pearl insisted Yin Mo sit in the middle. Halfway through the second movie, she curled against his side, her small body warm and trusting, the giant tiger clutched in her arms. When her breathing deepened into sleep, Yin Mo found himself frozen, terrified to move and wake her. She trusts you, Maya whispered. That's rare for her. She's been cautious since her father died. Yin Mo looked down at the sleeping child, her face peaceful, and felt something crack open in his chest. Something he'd kept locked for 20 years. I'll carry her to bed, he offered quietly. Pearl's room was small but filled with love, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, drawings taped to the walls, books stacked everywhere. He laid her down gently and pulled the blanket up. Her eyes fluttered open, just barely. Mr. Yin Tiger? Yes? You're not scary, she murmured, already drifting back to sleep. You're just lonely. Like us. His breath caught. Before he could respond, she was gone, breathing deep and even. Yin Mo stood there for a long moment, staring at this child who saw through him so easily, and felt something he hadn't felt in 2 decades. Hope. Maya poured the expensive wine into 2 mismatched mugs. She didn't own proper wine glasses, and settled onto the couch beside him. The Christmas tree lights blinked in steady rhythm, casting soft shadows across the small living room. Outside, snow had started to fall. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, both processing the strange evening. Finally, Maya turned to face him. Who are you really? Her voice was gentle, but the question wasn't. Yin Mo stared into his wine. He could lie, should lie. Instead, he found himself telling the truth. Someone you shouldn't have in your home. He looked at her directly. I'm dangerous, Maya. The restaurant, the hotels, they're real, but they're not the whole story. I've built my empire on things that would horrify you. Violence, control, fear. She didn't flinch. I suspected something like that. Men like you don't just hand out $1,000 bills to strangers. Then why did you let me in? Because Pearl saw something in you I couldn't ignore. And because. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Because desperate people recognize each other. Yin Mo waited. My husband died 3 years ago. Car accident, like Pearl said. But what she doesn't know is that we were barely making it even before that. Medical bills from her asthma, his student loans, rent in a city that doesn't care if you drown. Maya's voice cracked slightly. I worked 3 jobs for 2 years. Gas station nights, cleaning offices at dawn, waitressing whenever I could. I was so tired I couldn't remember the last time I'd slept more than 4 hours. And now? The restaurant pays better. Enough that I only need 1 job, can actually be home when Pearl needs me. But I'm still terrified every single day that it won't be enough. That one emergency will wipe us out. That I'll fail her the way I feel like I failed her father by not being able to save us. Yin Mo recognized the look in her eyes, the same one he saw in his mirror. 2 people drowning in different oceans, both too proud to scream for help. Everyone I've ever loved has died, he heard himself say. My mother, my father, my younger brother, all because of the life I chose, the world I built. I learned a long time ago that caring about people makes you vulnerable. Makes them targets. Is that why you're alone? Yes. The word felt like broken glass. It's safer. For everyone. Maya reached over and took his hand. Her palm was warm, calloused from work, real in a way nothing in his life had been for years. Pearl's right, you know. You're not scary. You're just lonely. I'm both, he corrected quietly. The scary part doesn't go away just because a child sees something different. I know. She didn't let go of his hand. I'm not naive, Yin Mo. I know what you're telling me. But I also know what I saw tonight. A man who peeled sweet potatoes like his life depended on it. Who let my daughter fall asleep on him even though it clearly terrified you? Who carried her to bed like she was made of glass? Maya, I'm not asking you to be someone you're not. I'm just saying, maybe you're more than one thing. They sat there, hands linked, watching the tree lights blink. Snow fell heavier outside. I'll never let anything happen to you or Pearl, Yin Mo said finally. I swear it on everything I am. Maya studied his face for a long moment, then nodded. I believe you. He left at 2 in the morning, stepping out into the silent snow. At his car, he turned back to see her in the window, watching him leave. New Year's, she called softly. Come back for New Year's. Pearl will want to see you. Yin Mo nodded once, then drove away, his chest feeling both heavier and lighter than it had in 20 years. He didn't understand what was happening to him. But for the first time, he wanted to find out. Yin Mo had spent the morning at a Korean grocery store in Chinatown, carefully selecting ingredients. gochugaru for kimchi jjigae, fresh perilla leaves, the good sesame oil his mother used to buy. He couldn't remember the last time he'd cooked traditional food, let alone for someone else. But he wanted to share this with them, this piece of himself he'd buried under years of calculated American assimilation. He was 3 blocks from Maya's building when his phone rang. Yin Mo. Her voice was pure terror. There are men outside. They're saying I owe money. That my husband owed money. I don't understand, Marcus never. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but me. He was already accelerating, weaving through traffic. I'm 2 minutes away. They're threatening to come upstairs. Pearl is asking what's wrong, I don't. 2 minutes. Stay inside. He made it in 90 seconds. 3 men stood outside the building's entrance, blocking it. Young, trying too hard to look tough in their leather jackets and gold chains. Low-level collectors, the kind who preyed on widows and thought themselves dangerous. Yin Mo parked directly in front of them, not bothering with a proper space. The moment he stepped out, the tallest one, clearly the leader, started his speech. Look, we don't want trouble, but the lady's husband owed our boss 15 grand, and now. He stopped mid-sentence. Recognition dawned like a death sentence. Shit, that's Yin Mo, the Korean completed quietly. And you're harassing someone under my protection. They ran. Not fast enough. Yin Mo caught the leader in the alley beside the building. The other 2 he let go. They'd spread the word, which was the point. But this one, the one who'd frightened Maya, who'd made Pearl ask what was wrong, this one needed a lesson. It was over in 30 seconds. Efficient, brutal, the kind of violence Yin Mo had perfected over 20 years. He didn't kill him, didn't need to. Just made sure the message was carved into bone-deep memory. Yin Mo protecting a nobody? The man choked out, blood streaming from his broken nose. You going soft? Yin Mo's hand closed around his throat. When he spoke, his voice carried the coldness of every life he'd taken, every soul he'd damned. Say her name again. Test me. The man went pale beneath the blood. Tell your boss the debt is erased. Tell him why. Tell everyone. Yin Mo released him, letting him collapse. She's untouchable now. The child is untouchable. You understand? The man nodded frantically, scrambling away. Yin Mo stood in the alley, breathing hard, blood on his knuckles, and felt the familiar emptiness of violence settle over him. This was who he was. This was what he did. Then he looked up and saw Maya in the building's doorway. She stared at him, at the blood, at whatever she saw in his face that made hardened criminals run. Pearl was behind her, peeking around her mother's legs. Are they gone? Maya asked quietly. Yes. They won't come back. No one will. She walked toward him slowly, and Yin Mo braced himself for fear, for revulsion, for her to tell him to leave and never come back. Instead, she handed him a dish towel. Your hands. He took it, confused. Should I be afraid of you? She asked it calmly, like she was asking about the weather. Yin Mo met her eyes. I'm the most dangerous man in this city. I've done things that would make you sick. I've hurt people, Maya. Killed people. He paused, letting her see all of it, the monster, the violence, the darkness. But never to you. Never to Pearl. I swear it on my brother's grave. Maya studied him for a long moment. Pearl had come fully into the doorway now, clutching her tiger. Mr. Yin Tiger scared the bad men away, Pearl announced. That's what tigers do. Maya almost smiled. Almost. Come inside. Wash up. Then teach us how to make whatever's in those grocery bags. Yin Mo stood frozen in disbelief. You're still cooking for us, right? Maya raised an eyebrow. Because I have no idea what to do with most of those ingredients. He followed them inside, still not understanding how she could look at him, at what he'd just done, and not run. But he was grateful she didn't. More grateful than he'd ever admit. January melted into February, and somehow Yin Mo found himself woven into the fabric of their lives in ways that should have terrified him but didn't. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, he picked Pearl up from school. Her classmates assumed he was her uncle, the cool one with the fancy car, he'd overheard one say. Pearl would run to him with her backpack bouncing, chattering about her day, completely comfortable in a way that made his chest tight. On Saturdays, he taught her self-defense in the park. Basic stuff. How to break a grip, where to strike if someone grabbed her, how to scream properly. Even little tigers need claws, he told her, and she'd practice her moves with fierce concentration, the stuffed tiger watching from a nearby bench. Sunday mornings became his. He'd bring Korean pastries and coffee, and Pearl would insist he read to her while Maya caught up on sleep. Monday evenings he cooked dinner. Wednesday nights were movie nights. And the dates with Maya, those he hoarded like stolen treasures. Late-night diners where they talked until the staff gave them pointed looks. Walks along the frozen lake where she'd tuck her hand into his coat pocket and he'd wonder how something so simple could feel so profound. His men noticed. Of course they noticed. Boss has been distracted, he'd overheard Min Jae tell another lieutenant. Leaving early. Smiling. It's weird. Some whispered about weakness. Yin Mo dealt with those whispers swiftly, privately, and permanently removed from his organization. He also quietly increased security around Maya's building, cameras, patrols, an alert system that would notify him within seconds of any threat. His two worlds existed in careful separation. Maya and Pearl lived in warmth and light. His empire operated in shadows and blood. He told himself he could keep them apart. He should have known better. It was a Thursday in late March. Pearl climbed into his car, her usual smile in place, but quieter than normal. They drove in silence for a few blocks before she spoke. Mr. Yin Tiger, do you love my mama? Yin Mo nearly crashed into a parked car. His hands jerked on the wheel, correcting at the last second. What? It's okay if you do, Pearl continued, completely unfazed by his near accident. I was just wondering. Because she smiles now. Real smiles, not the fake ones she used to do when she thought I wasn't looking. And you look at her like she's magic. Yin Mo's throat closed. He kept his eyes on the road, unable to form words. I think it'd be nice, Pearl said thoughtfully. If you loved her, then maybe you could stay forever. And we could be a real family. Not just a sometimes family. Pearl, it's okay, you don't have to answer. She went back to looking out the window. I just wanted you to know it's okay with me. In case you were worried. She wasn't worried, but Yin Mo was. That night, alone in his penthouse, he couldn't sleep. He stood at the windows overlooking the city, whiskey in hand, and forced himself to confront the truth Pearl had spoken so easily. He loved Maya, loved the way she laughed at his terrible jokes, loved how she challenged him, never letting him hide behind his reputation. Loved the strength it took to raise a child alone and still find room for kindness. He loved Pearl, loved her fearlessness, her perceptiveness, the way she'd claimed him as Mr. Yin Tiger, and decided he was worth saving. He loved them both with an intensity that terrified him, because loving them made them targets. Every enemy he'd ever made, every rival looking for weakness, every ambitious subordinate seeking leverage, they all now had a weapon against him. The most dangerous man in Chicago had finally found something more frightening than death. He had something to lose. And in his world, that was the most dangerous thing of all. But as he thought of Pearl's smile, of Maya's hand in his, of Sunday mornings reading picture books about tigers, he realized something else. He didn't want to run from it anymore. Even if it killed him. Especially if it meant protecting them. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Choi Sang-wook had been watching for 6 weeks. Patient. Calculating. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike at the man who'd refused his alliance and humiliated him in front of the entire Korean underworld. Yin Mo had always been untouchable. No family, no friends, nothing to leverage. Until now. Now he had a weakness. A waitress and her child. Choi didn't want to kill Yin Mo. That would be too easy, too quick. He wanted him to suffer. To understand that power meant nothing if you couldn't protect what you loved. So he ordered the hit for a Thursday afternoon. 2 blocks from the woman's apartment. When the girl would be in the car. Yin Mo was laughing at something Pearl had said about her teacher's ridiculous toupee when the first car cut them off. His training kicked in instantly, threat assessment, exit routes, weapon location. But before he could react, 2 more vehicles boxed them in from behind and the side. Pearl, get down. The first bullets shattered his driver's side window. Yin Mo threw himself over the seat, covering Pearl's small body with his own as glass rained down. She screamed, high and terrified, and the sound carved something out of his soul. His weapon was in his hand before conscious thought. 2 shots through the broken window, and the shooter to his left dropped. He shifted, fired again, and took out the windshield gunman. Pearl's screams hadn't stopped. "Stay down, tiger cub," he said, his voice deadly calm even as his heart tried to tear itself apart. "Don't look up. Keep your eyes closed." He threw the car into reverse, slamming into the vehicle behind them with enough force to disable it. More gunfire. A bullet grazed his shoulder, hot pain he barely registered. His men would be here soon. They always tracked his location when Pearl was in the car. Another shooter emerged from the passenger side. Yin Mo killed him through the door panel. Then, as suddenly as it started, it was over. His backup arrived, 3 cars full of his best men, weapons drawn. The surviving attackers fled. Sirens wailed in the distance, but they'd be gone long before police arrived. They always were. Yin Mo lowered his weapon, hands shaking for the first time in 20 years. "Pearl? Pearl, it's over. You're safe now." He turned to look at her. She was curled in a ball on the backseat floor, hands over her ears, her backpack still clutched to her chest. Her eyes were open now, staring at the blood splattered across the dashboard. Staring at the bodies visible through the broken windows. Staring at the gun still in his hand. "Pearl." She looked at him, and what he saw destroyed him. Terror. Pure, primal terror. She was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Tears streamed down her face. And when he reached for her, slowly, carefully, trying to comfort her, she flinched away. Don't touch me." The words were barely a whisper, broken by sobs, but they hit him like bullets. "Tiger cub, please. You're safe. I promise you're safe. There's blood everywhere. Those men are they dead? Did you?" She couldn't finish, couldn't breathe through the hyperventilating sobs. Yin Mo wanted to die. Wanted to trade places with every person he'd just killed if it meant erasing the last 5 minutes from her memory. "Min Jae," he called to his lieutenant, his voice breaking. "Call her mother. Tell her we're coming. Tell her Pearl is physically unharmed," but he couldn't finish either. He drove the remaining 2 blocks with shattered windows and bullet holes, Pearl crying in the backseat, unreachable despite being 3 feet away. When they arrived, Maya ran out before he'd even stopped. She pulled Pearl from the car, and the child buried herself in her mother's arms, finally letting out the full force of her terror. Over Pearl's head, Maya's eyes met his. "What did you do?" she whispered. Yin Mo stood there, blood on his hands and suit, watching the 2 people he loved most look at him like he was the monster he'd always known himself to be. He'd finally shown them the truth. And it had shattered everything. Pearl hadn't spoken a word since the attack. She sat curled in Maya's lap on the couch, the stuffed tiger clutched so tight her knuckles were white, staring at nothing. When Maya tried to get her to drink water, she shook her head. When she asked if anything hurt, Pearl just pressed closer. Yin Mo stood in the doorway, unable to cross the threshold. Blood still stained his shirt, he'd forgotten to change. His shoulder throbbed where the bullet had grazed him, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the agony of watching Pearl flinch every time he shifted his weight. "I have to leave," he said quietly. "Tonight. Forever." Maya's head snapped up. "What?" "I'll make sure you're protected. My best men, 24-hour surveillance, enough money that you'll never," his voice cracked. "But I can't stay. Look at her, Maya. She's terrified of me now. I did this. I brought my world into hers and—" "Stop." Maya's voice was sharp. She looked down at Pearl, brushed a hand over her daughter's hair. "Baby, I need you to go lie down in Mama's bed for a little while, okay? I need to talk to Mr. Yin Tiger." Pearl nodded mutely and shuffled toward the bedroom, still clutching the tiger. The moment the door closed, Maya rounded on him. "You don't get to decide this alone. There's nothing to decide. I'm poison, Maya. Everyone near me dies. My mother, my father, my brother, now Pearl almost." He couldn't finish. "This is what I am. This is what my life looks like. Violence and blood and then fight for us instead of running." The words stopped him cold. "What?" Maya crossed the room, standing inches from him, her eyes blazing. Pearl was scared, yes. But she was scared for you, not of you. Do you know what she said on the way home? Between sobs? She kept saying, "Is Mr. Yin Tiger okay? Did they hurt him? Mama, what if they hurt him?" Yin Mo felt something break in his chest. "She loves you," Maya continued, her voice shaking. And so do I, and you don't get to abandon us just because you're afraid to be loved. You think leaving protects us? It destroys us. We've already lost one person we loved. You think we can survive losing another? I don't know how to be anything but a monster, Yin Mo whispered. I've spent 20 years becoming this. I can't. Maya reached up and took his face in both hands, forcing him to look at her. Then let us teach you. The kiss was desperate, fierce, tasting of her tears and his blood. It was everything he'd wanted and everything he'd denied himself: connection, hope, the terrifying vulnerability of being truly seen. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Maya kept her hands on his face. Stay. Fight for us. End whatever threat is out there, and then come back. Don't you dare walk away from this family. If I stay, more will come. There will always be more. Then we deal with them. Together. Her eyes were steel. But you stay. You choose us. You choose to try. That's all I'm asking. Yin Mo closed his eyes, feeling tears slip down his cheeks for the second time in as many months. Two people had done what 20 years of violence couldn't. They'd broken him completely open. I'll end the threat, he said finally, his voice raw. Choi Sang-wook and anyone who thinks they can touch you. I'll make sure no one ever comes near you again. And then? And then, he opened his eyes, met hers. And then I'll come home. If you'll still have me. If Pearl can still look at me without. She will. We will. Maya kissed him again, softer this time. We're a family, Yin Mo. Tigers protect their own. All of us. Even you. He held her close, breathing in the scent of her hair, and made a promise to himself. He would end this threat. He would dismantle Choi's entire operation, leave no stone unturned, no enemy standing. And then he would spend the rest of his life becoming the man they believed he could be. Even if it killed him. Especially if it meant keeping them safe. Yin Mo left Maya's apartment at midnight. He made 3 calls before his car even reached the expressway. By 12:30 a.m., every lieutenant in his organization was mobilized. By 1 a.m., he had the locations of all of Choi Sang-wook's operations, warehouses, fronts, safe houses, even the man's mistress's apartment in Evanston. By 1:30 a.m., the reckoning began. Yin Mo had built his empire on calculated violence, but what he unleashed that night was something different. Something personal. Something that would be whispered about in Chicago's underworld for years to come. He hit the gambling den first. Choi's men barely had time to draw weapons before it was over. Yin Mo moved through them like a force of nature, efficient, brutal, unstoppable. He left one man conscious, bleeding but alive. Tell everyone what happens when someone touches my family. The drug warehouse was next. Then the loan sharking operation. Then the protection racket headquarters. Each location fell within minutes. Yin Mo's men secured the perimeters while he delivered the message personally, violently, permanently. He found Choi Sang-wook at 4:47 a.m., hiding in a penthouse suite he thought was secret. The older man's arrogance had finally caught up to him. Yin Mo. Choi tried to smile, tried to negotiate. We can talk about this. I was just sending a message, establishing boundaries. You put a 7-year-old child in the crossfire. Yin Mo's voice was death itself. You made her scream. You made her afraid. She's just. He didn't get to finish. It was over quickly. Yin Mo had learned long ago that revenge didn't require drawn-out suffering. It required absolute finality. By dawn, Choi's empire was ash. His operations dismantled, his men scattered or dead, his money seized, his reputation destroyed. Yin Mo stood on the rooftop of his own building as the sun rose over Chicago, covered in blood that wasn't his, and made one final call. Every major player in the city's underworld received the same message: Maya Parker and Pearl Yin were untouchable. Anyone who so much as looked at them wrong would face the same fate as Choi. The woman and child were under Yin Mo's absolute protection. No exceptions, no negotiations, no mercy. The message was received, and believed. Because Yin Mo had just proven, in one methodical, brutal night, that his reputation wasn't exaggerated. It was understated. He went home to his penthouse, showered until the water ran clear, and stared at his reflection. The monster was still there, still visible in his eyes. But now, for the first time, he saw something else too. Purpose. Protection. A reason to be better than what he'd become. He'd eliminated the threat. Now came the harder part. Going back and facing a frightened little girl who'd seen exactly what he was capable of. Part B. The Apology. 2 days later, Yin Mo stood outside Maya's apartment door, more nervous than he'd been facing Choi. His shoulder was bandaged properly now, hidden under a clean shirt. He'd brought nothing with him this time, no gifts, no bribes, just himself. Maya opened the door. Her eyes searched his face, and whatever she saw there made her step aside. She's in her room. She's been asking about you. That surprised him. She has? Every day. Is Mr. Yin Tiger okay? When is he coming back? Maya's expression softened. Go talk to her. Pearl's door was covered in her drawings, families of tigers, all different sizes. He knocked softly. Come in. She sat on her bed, the giant tiger beside her, looking small and serious. When she saw him, something flickered across her face, fear, yes, but also relief. Mr. Yin Tiger. Her voice was quiet. You came back. Yin Mo knelt down so he was at her eye level. I'm so sorry, Pearl. I'm sorry you saw that. I'm sorry I brought danger into your life. I'm sorry I scared you. Pearl studied him with those two perceptive eyes. Are you a bad man? The question he'd been dreading. He could lie, should lie, but she deserved the truth. I've done bad things, he said carefully. I've hurt people. I've made choices I'm not proud of. But I'm trying to be better. For you, for your mama, because you both make me want to be more than what I've been. Did you stop the bad men? The ones who shot at us? Yes. They'll never hurt you again. I promise. Pearl nodded slowly, processing. Then she scooted forward and wrapped her small arms around his neck. I was scared, she whispered against his shoulder. But not of you. I was scared they'd hurt you. I was scared you'd go away forever like Daddy did. Yin Mo's arms came around her carefully, like she was made of glass. His eyes burned. I'm not going anywhere, Tiger Cub. Not unless you want me to. She pulled back, looking at him seriously. Tigers protect their families. That's what you did, right? Yes. Then you're still my Mr. Yin Tiger. You're just a real one now. Not just the stuffed kind. He couldn't speak past the lump in his throat, so he just nodded. Pearl hugged the stuffed tiger, then looked back at him. Can we still do Saturday self-defense? Because I think I need to learn more moves now. Yin Mo laughed, actually laughed, even though tears were sliding down his face. Absolutely. Even little tigers need claws. Especially little tigers, she corrected with a small smile. And just like that, he was forgiven. That evening, after Pearl was asleep, Yin Mo and Maya sat on the couch with glasses of wine, close enough that their shoulders touched. What is this? Maya asked softly, not looking at him. Between us, what are we doing? Yin Mo had faced that question before, in business, in negotiations, in territory disputes. He always had an answer. Always knew the angle, the strategy, the endgame. This time, he had nothing but the truth. I don't know, he admitted. I've never, he stopped, tried again. I've never let anyone close enough to find out what this could be. And now? Now I'm terrified. He turned to face her. Because I love you, Maya. I love Pearl. And in my world, that makes you both targets. What happened with Choi won't be the last time someone tries to use you against me. Maya was quiet for a long moment, staring at her wine. Then she set the glass down and took his hand. I love you too, she said simply. And I'm terrified too, but not of your world. I'm terrified of living without you now that I know what it feels like to have you in our lives. Maya, I'm not naive, Yin Mo. I know what you are, what you've done. I know the danger, but I also know that for the first time since Marcus died, I feel safe. Pearl feels safe. You did that. She squeezed his hand. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to keep us safe the way you know how. And we're going to give you something worth protecting. We're going to be a family. I don't know how to be part of a family anymore. Neither do I, she admitted. We'll figure it out together. Yin Mo pulled her close, buried his face in her hair, and let himself imagine it. A real life. A real family. Something beyond blood and violence and power. Marry me, he said suddenly, surprising himself. Maya pulled back, eyes wide. What? Marry me. Let me give you everything. A real house, security, safety. Let me be Pearl's father. Let me, he stopped, vulnerable in a way he'd never been. Let me be yours. Completely. Maya's eyes filled with tears. You're serious? I've never been more serious about anything in my life. She kissed him, long and deep and full of promise. When she pulled back, she was smiling through tears. Yes, but not right now. Not while Pearl's still processing everything. Let's give it time. Let's build this slowly, make sure she's ready. She touched his face. But yes, Yin Mo. Eventually, yes. He kissed her again, tasting salt and hope and the future he'd never thought he deserved. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft and silent. Inside, two broken people held each other and dared to believe in second chances. Part C. The Full Heart. 1 year later, Christmas Eve arrived dressed in fresh snow and string lights. The house Yin Mo had bought for them. A real house with a yard and a guest room and space for Pearl to run, glowed warm against the winter night. He stood in the doorway watching Maya and Pearl decorate the tree, and his chest felt so full it almost hurt. Maya wore the engagement ring he'd given her 3 months ago, simple and elegant, exactly her style. Pearl, now 8, directed the ornament placement with the authority of a general commanding troops. Mr. Yin Tiger, you're not helping. She called out. I'm supervising, he countered, grinning. That's what grown-ups say when they're being lazy. Maya laughed, and the sound still made his heart skip. The doorbell rang. Pearl squealed and ran for it, his sister, Ji-hai, arriving with her husband and 2 kids. She'd reached out 6 months ago, tentatively, after hearing rumors that her brother had changed. That he was leaving the life. That he'd found something worth living for. Behind them came Maya's mother, arms full of dishes, scolding about starting dinner without her. The house filled with noise and laughter and the chaos of family. Yin Mo had begun the slow, dangerous process of transitioning his businesses to legitimate operations, selling off the criminal enterprises, cleaning the money, making deals with authorities he'd once owned. It would take years to fully extract himself, and some stains would never wash clean. But he was trying. For them, he was trying. Pearl appeared at his side, tugging his sleeve. Come help me show Aunt Ji-hai my tiger family drawing. She led him to the refrigerator, where her latest artwork was displayed. A family of tigers, a big one with a growly face, a medium one with a kind smile, and a little one with ribbons in her hair. That's us, she announced proudly. Ji-hai smiled at him, her eyes soft. She's beautiful, Oppa. They both are. Uma would be proud. Yin Mo's throat tightened. You think so? I know so. You found your way back to being human. That's all she ever wanted for you. Dinner was loud, chaotic, perfect. Pearl sat between him and Maya, stealing bites from both their plates. After, they gathered around the tree to exchange gifts. When it was just the 3 of them again, Pearl curled up on the couch between her mother and Yin Mo, the stuffed tiger in her lap. Best Christmas ever, she murmured sleepily. Yin Mo looked at his family, his chosen, hard-won family, and felt his heart, which had been hollow for so long, finally full. Best Christmas ever, little tiger, he agreed, pulling them both close. Outside, snow continued to fall. Inside, a monster had learned to be a man. And 3 people who'd been lonely had found their way home.